So before I get into this video, I want to make a clear disclaimer that I will be covering spoilers for the light novels, for Jobless Reincarnation. I will be also covering side story manga stuff as well to add context to her backstory, etc, so that you know who she is, why she is the way she is, etc. Because this is definitely a character that has caused a lot of controversy online for some weird reason. Apparently, you know, any woman that is thirsty for man is apparently problematic. Apparently, women don't desire the naughty. I'm saving some words for, of course, the algorithm, so sorry if that upsets you that I'm not saying all the fun, exotic words on the video. But, of course, she is someone that is very thirsty. She, you know, sleeps around. But there is a good reason for that, and that reason I will get into, but to explain the backstory, the why and who and how and where, is that of course she was found in a magic crystal over 200 years ago inside of a labyrinth, and she was found by Pergius, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm sure some people will point it out if I mispronounced it, but she was found by him in that labyrinth over 200 years ago inside of a magic crystal. With no memory of who she was very quickly taken to an elf village to recover, and then later on married. At that point, she finds out with the side effect of course, being stuck in a magic crystal, she needs to do the fun stuff, you know, to have sperm inserted into her to, of course, fertilize the magic crystals inside of her. Basically, mana. And of course, she will then create mana crystals and her husband would then sell them. That is one thing that's also noted in the light novels, is that she is quite wealthy. And of course, you kind of assume she's wealthy because of her adventures, but I'm pretty sure, and again, I've only read up to volume 8, but I'm pretty sure that she is wealthy because she's been selling some of those magic crystals as well, and of course, she's been sleeping around, so put two and two together, she's, you know, pretty self-sufficient, she knows how to take care of herself, but of course, her husband died back then while leaving the village to try and sell some of those crystals, basically mobbed, killed, and sadly, she was left without a husband. Not very long after that though, you know, a couple of days, she started to attack men. Basically, any man that would be willing to sleep with her, she basically jumped them. And that very quickly upset a lot of women in the village. So very quickly was she booted out of the town. That was basically 5 days after her husband was killed. She basically started going after men because she needs that constant fertilization in the crystals. Otherwise, she dies. That's as simple as it is. So she was kicked out of the village by the women. Very quickly did she go into more of a career of the pleasure district, basically fulfilling the needs by working in that line of area. And then very quickly, you know, at a later date, she decided to work as an adventurer. That is where, of course, she joined Paul's party, with Zenith joining a little bit after that. And that is where they kind of did their adventures together. But as you will notice throughout the actual anime, she does not like Paul. Not at all. And of course, they basically disbanded the party very much right after Paul and Zenith left, of course, with the fact that Paul ended up sleeping with Zenith, and basically they got married and had children. So that is why the party fell apart. And that is where it leads into, of course, her looking for Paul's family. Paul does not know about this, but she's basically taken on the job from the letter that he left on that notice board to go, hey, I'm going to help find his family. The fact that she doesn't like Paul, but she's still willing to actually help look for his family, just shows how caring and of a good person she is. And of course, she ends up finding out where Zenith is along with Roxy, and of course she was off with Roxy as well doing that. So she decides to go look for Rudy, and Roxy goes back to Paul to tell Paul where Zenith is, which, if you kind of think about it from kind of a comical sense, imagine if the roles were reversed and Roxy went looking for Rudy, things would have played out very differently. But, of course, she decided to go look for Rudy, which is where she barges into a particular tavern saying, hey, I found you, and raising a lot of suspicions. A lot of men, when she first appeared with Rudy, a lot of them thought that actually Rudy actually had a lady, and that, you know, Rudy was actually quite lucky. But of course, Rudy had to tell a lot of people that no, they are not together. She then also slept with a lot of the adventurers that Rudy was working with. Rudy was doing a lot of freelancing with particular adventurers and party groups, and she ended up sleeping with all of them, which also led to awkward conversations when they ended up bumping into Rudy, them freaking out, going, "Oh my god, Rudy, I'm so sorry, I slept with your woman," and he's just sitting there going, "Relax, she ain't my woman." The other thing to also note is that she will not get with Rudy. And so you're asking, well, if she's so, needing that, fun time to fertilize her crystals, why not get with Rudy for those reasons? That is to do with two things. One, she hates Paul, again, with a dying passion, but she also doesn't want to join Paul's family, so basically steering clear of Rudy, basically saying, well, I don't want to be, any association with Paul, because she just, again, doesn't really like Paul that very much. Now, of course, the second reason is, of course, to do with her friendship with Roxy. Roxy does have an interest in Rudy and has showed a great love and respect towards Rudy. So, of course, she has decided to just lay off Rudy because of Roxy and their friendship. Of course, it will be fun to see where that goes, of course, in the anime format at a later date, but of course, that is the second reason. So that, of course, leads to her finding Rudy, basically saying, hey, we found Zenith, but don't worry, Roxy and Paul are going to go off and save her, so you relax, you live your life. And that is where Rudy ended up getting a letter to a university for the Magic Academy, and she basically says, yeah, go to the Magic Academy, and she ends up following him to that Magic Academy, and she ends up joining the Magic Academy as well. Her reasonings are very simple. She's looking for men to have a bit of fun with, which is why there are a lot of rumors going around at the university that she's basically devouring men as often as she can see them. So there's that rumor going around that she's definitely a man devourer. That also leads her to finding someone called Cliff, and that individual she falls in love with. Cliff is a young, handsome individual that is very much driven to try and help her with her curse, because of course he finds out about the curse and says, I'm going to do what I can to help cure you of your curse. And because of that, she falls madly in love with Cliff. But the downside to that is, of course, they never really solve the problem, but they do find a way to alleviate some of the issues, which is, of course, where they create a magical pair of panties that, of course, Cliff made, and Rudy basically inserts magic power into it to reduce the curse's effect, basically inserting a high concentration of mana into these panties, which, to be honest, actually makes sense. That's where she needs to put the stuff, so having a high amount of magic, which of course Rudy has a large storage amount, so with Cliff and Rudy working together, they are able to make a magic pair of panties that helps alleviate her curse. And of course, later on, she ends up marrying Cliff and has a child. So that's kind of like the whole sort of the basics, also getting into a little bit of the itty-gritties of why she is the way she is. What do you think of her? Does it make sense that she needs to do the fun time, the boogaloo, to refertilize her magic crystals? Again, love to know your thoughts, but if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I will see you, beautiful nerds, in the next video.